Hey guys, it's me, Therapy. I'm kind of sick, so that's probably why I sound a little weird. But I wanted to post a video because I didn't want to stop grinding for a bit. It's like when you don't go to the gym for like a day, and then it turns into 3 days, and it turns into a week, and then you're paying your membership, and you don't even go the whole month. It's like that. So I didn't want to stop, and yeah. So last time we talked about the giveaway. I don't think I made it clear, but I am giving away the JJonak jersey, and I am giving away a second jersey. The second jersey it's gonna be well. I want to make sure it goes to an Overwatch League fan, so I'm gonna read through the comments, and if you guys post a comment and I think you deserve an Overwatch League jersey, I will send one out. The J Jonak jersey will be at random though, and yeah. So I'm gonna leave the links in the bio, and you can feel free to enter as many times as you want. Last time we left off, we were talking about the Shindu Hunters, the Guangzhou Charge, and the Florida Mayhem. And at 16th place again, we have another team from last season, the Shanghai Dragons. Surprisingly, I think the Shanghai Dragons will be able to Florida Mayhem. They actually got a pretty impressive coach, which is Blue Haas. He was the coach of Kangdu Pantera in Contenders Korea. Led them to a second place finish 2 times in a row. And in Contenders Korea, that's very hard. It's not an easy thing. You could see Lunatic High, uh, Runaway. All these teams are among the best teams in the world. And now we have Blue House, which is a very good coach. It's very impressive. I think the coach is one of the most important pieces of the team because he basically controls how uh, how they play, what they're playing, who gets signed and who doesn't. And unfortunately for him, with this roster, I don't think it's good enough. I really don't. They picked up DM, and DM is actually friends with Carpe. And when they first started playing, they named themselves Carpe and DM, Carpe DM. Like the Latin expression. He used to play with Lucky Future Zenith in Contenders Asia. And the first thing I want to say about DM is a good player, but I don't think he's a top tier player. And I don't mean to insult Contenders Asia or any other region, but we all know that Contenders Korea is the best Contenders region in the world. And probably second is NA Korea. I mean NA Contenders, then EU Contenders or Asia Contenders. But definitely Korean Contenders is the best. And the fact that he couldn't make it in Korean Contenders, I think he's not good enough for a good Overwatch League team. And that's why he probably went to Asia or, and because he couldn't make it in Korean Contenders. So yeah, that's my thought on him. I don't know if he will start over Dio. Dia is also pretty good at DPS, but I don't know. It could go either way. I hope he proves me wrong because it would be very cool, to see DM. It would be a very cool story to see DM up against Carpe, and I think a worrisome player for this team is Fearless. Fearless used to play on the old Shanghai Dragons. He from season 1, he was their main tank. He was picked up after Roshan couldn't perform, and I think this is very worrisome because Freefield didn't show much improvement over Roshan. And you could say, well, that whole squad was raw into the core, support, DPS, tank, like that whole Shanghai Dragon season 1 was a mess. But I think they should have gotten another main tank to start and maybe bench Freefield. Because Freefield did not come and impress anybody. I don't know if they're expecting him to pick up, or maybe they saw something in the scrims where they're like, okay, he's good enough. I just don't think he can compete with the best main tanks. And I don't know if you guys noticed from my last video, but I rate teams with good main tanks very highly, just because they are the players who control the pace of the game. They control when they attack, when you play more defensive. If your main tank is down, your push is probably down. He's basically better than Roshan, but the real question is how much better is he actually? The overall problems with this problem is I think they're gonna have to live the pressure from the season 1 team. They're gonna go into season 2, and people are gonna wonder, oh, are they gonna win this game, or are they gonna go 0-41, 0-42, 0-43, or when are they actually gonna win a game? So this new squad is gonna have to perform right off the bat, or they're gonna risk having this pressure of basically everybody expecting them to lose, or when are they gonna win? And that's not a good thing to have because you want to play your game free of mind, and if you're always thinking in the back of your head, oh, when are we gonna win? Or I really hope we don't lose. You start to play a little shaky. So you never. It's like when you're playing ranked, and you're about to hit diamond, and you're like, oh, I really hope I hit masters this game, and then you start to worry because you really care about getting into masters, but then you lose just because you're overthinking it. So it's kind of like that. That's what I think about it. And another problem is that yeah, they picked up a decent roster. They picked up the Kondo Pantera roster from Contenders Korea, but they're missing Decay and Roar. Decay and Roar got picked up by LA Gladiators, and I think those were the two carry pieces of Kondo Pantera last season. They were probably the best players on the team, and without them, I feel like this Kondo Pantera roster would not do the same. Is Freefield as good as Roar? No, I'm gonna put it out there. No, I don't think he is. It's as simple as that. Is DM as good as Decay? No, he's not. Decay guy is getting paid 300K a year. You know, he was over bidding war. He's one of the best Korean contenders players, and that's why he got so his. That's why his salary got so inflated. Just because there you have the top tier DPS, and then you have good DPS, and Decay was honestly one of the top tier DPS, and I can't wait to see him in the league. Um, but yeah, that's also one of their bright spots that they do have the Kongdu Pantera core. But like I said, without Roar and Decay, I think they're very mediocre at best. And yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have to see how it goes. I could probably see them a little higher in the table. But honestly, without Roar Decay or signing another main tank or superstar DPS, I don't see them going much higher. You're gonna see the theme around these lower league teams is that they have good players. Everybody in the Overwatch League is a good player, and they probably have one or two good games, but they're not superstars. They're no Fleta. They're no say Bob Striker. There's none of those players down here. Um, Otto, they let him go. Giguri is the only you know they let Otto go, which was arguably one of their better DPS. And that squad had a lot of issues. So yeah, the only way for them is up because they literally ended in last place. So I do see them a little better, but not much better. 16, we have the Boston Uprising. Um, we all know what happened last year with the Dreamcasper situation, and they still prevailed. They went stage three unbeaten. But big elephant in the room. Striker got signed to San Francisco Shock, and if you didn't know that, I don't know where the hell you've been, living under a rock. But that's a big issue for them. But let's start off with their manager. Their manager used to be Krusty, and right now I couldn't actually I didn't even bother looking it up because let's be real. Huck runs that team. Huck runs that team regardless of who the manager is. So to me, Huck is the general manager. He's the coach. He's the vice president gaming, whatever that means. But yeah, he's basically runs that team. One player to watch for them is No. I think it's very important to watch No because he had a very stellar performance last year, and I honestly don't think he can keep it up. I don't think he could keep it up. You could see in Team Canada, he didn't perform as well as he should have, and I think he's a one season wonder. And for you guys who don't know what a one season wonder, basically like in soccer or any other sport, there's basically a player who for one season they score like so many goals and they score so many like touchdowns or whatever, interceptions or whatever, and they're really good for that one season. But after that, they just kind of fall off, and people like are expecting them to pick it up, but they just never do, and they fall away. And I think Noah is one of those players. Striker single-handedly carried the team at times after Drew Casper got banned, and he took a lot of pressure away from Noah and the backline. And even then, the backline was still having some issues for them. Calix is a player to worry about because every time in stage four, I would look at Calix, and he would always be first pick. And it's so annoying. Trust me, it's so annoying when you see like your support die first. Because if your support dies first, like your main tanks are getting no healing, so eventually they're gonna fall. The main tanks are gonna fall, and you have no point presence. You can't pressure the payload. And Calyx was like a big point, and I don't think people notice this enough. But Calyx was dead way too much, more often than he should have. They did not bother to get an upgrade. The DPS was what carried them last season. Gamsu was very good as well. But now that Striker is gone, he takes a lot of pressure off them. Because just think of it this way: Striker was on the team, right? And so some of the other DPS on other teams would try and look for Striker to to like not let them harass the backline. But now that he's gone, they don't have to really worry about Striker. Now they can just probably more focus on the tanks or the supports or whoever they want to pick out, and they don't have to worry about Striker like carrying or like insta killing somebody. That's my thoughts on the Boston Uprising. They're gonna fall off real hard, just the same way they did in Stage 4. They fell off from Stage 3 to Stage 4 very badly. Huck is a real problem for that team. The way he manages is very abrasive play style. We all have heard the rumors, and he's made staff members cry. He got Striker basically so annoyed to the point where like he had to leave the team. It was like a very bad infrastructure, and I don't think that Hawk is gonna have the same thing. I think that the Boston Uprising is a team where like it's decent, and players go there because they know they're gonna get a chance to play, and that's what I think. Color Hex, Blase, and Fusion. I don't know if any of you guys watch Arsenal. So I mean soccer. So in the Premier League, there's this team called Arsenal, and for like the longest time, they were always in fourth place, and they would always barely make Champions League, which is basically like playoffs equivalent, and so yeah, they were like the worst of the best teams, and that's what I think about the Boston Uprising. I think they're one of the worst of the good teams. So I definitely could see them higher, but definitely not this season. I don't think they're gonna strike gold twice in the DPS, Color Hex, and Blase. I think it's very hard to think that these good that these players can carry the same way that Striker and Dreamcasper did. Um, we can see that the even mistakes last season, he was decent, and decent was not good enough for them. They failed in playoffs. They lost to Philly Fusion because they did not have that top tier Widowmaker player or that top tier Junkrat player because Dream Casper got banned, and mistakes was not able to step up. He did a commendable job, but was it a superstar job? No. Okay, and in 15th place we have the Washington Justice with the typical genius Richard Kyung leading the team. He used to play for the NYXL. He used to coach them. He used to be an analyst. He turned the NYXL from the third best Korean team into the best Korean team in the Overwatch League. Everybody thought that the NYXL was going to be below Seoul Dynasty, London Spitfire, and we saw that that was not clearly the case. They used to be the most. They were the most dominant team throughout the league, and I think he was a key reason for that. And now that he's in Washington Justice, I really think that he can help these players become uh, better known players because look at what he did with J. Look at what New NYXL did with JJonak. JJonak is a very gifted player, but the team played around him and they enabled him. I don't know who for sure, but possibly he was scouted by Wizard Hyung. So there is a very big upside to hiring Wizard Hyung as a coach. They gave him one of his past players, which is Janice. Janice used to be for with the NYXL squad. Before they were even the NYXL, they were LW Blue or Red. I think it was LW Blue, and he was basically for the org for 3 years. He used to play before Mono was in. Yeah, Janice used to start. He was actually a starter for the team. Um, and in most teams in the Overwatch League, he would actually start, but he just happened to be playing on the same team as Mano, which is very unfortunate. It's the same scenario where like Fisher used to play under Gesture, and unfortunately, he didn't get much playtime. But Janice didn't want to leave the NYXL family, but they didn't see a need for him because they had Mono, one of the best tanks in the league. Janice is a very aggressive tank. He flanks a lot. Like we all know, Janice, like sometimes he'll be in the back line, doing you don't know what, but he's just getting ready to settle for a flank, and that's actually a very important piece of the puzzle here. I think that with his experience, his winning mentality, his play style, he can actually help this team. I kind of see them playing in a way where like I don't know if you guys remember Brazil from the Overwatch World Cup, but Brazil. I don't know if you remember the Reinhardt player on that team. The Reinhardt player on that team, he was always using charge when it was off cooldown. He used to play very aggressive, and often he would die. But and some of the teams fight they would win, and it was very impressive because nobody expected much from Brazil. And when people actually saw their games, you would be like, oh wow, they could possibly win, against Overwatch League players, and they did win some fights. I don't think they picked up a map or two, but they did win fights against them. And now I think that's the same place out there they should be going. They have pretty good DPS in Otto and Corey. Otto, we all saw in the Shanghai Dragons. Nobody knew why he was dropped. He was literally like one of the probably the best player on that team. He is Korean. Half the squad is Korean. Half the squad is American. But I don't think that should be an issue for them. Janice does speak English and Korean very well. He's very fluent in both. He can probably translate for the team. While they adjust to English. Otto's hero pool is very good. He has a very good Tracer, very good Genji. I don't see why they have Stratus on his team. I don't ever see Stratus playing. I think he was picked up to be a bench player. And he knows it. His hero pool overlaps with that of Otto's, and Corey is a much better hit scan than he is. The big upside of his team, as I said earlier, was that they do have the NYXL coach. He was, he kind of loathed, he kind of bragged that he is the typical genius, which a man that confident, would not pick up a team where he thinks they would be last place. He just would not, because that would be an embarrassment to him. And I think he knows it, and that's why I think this team will do better than most people expect. because the coach believes in players, the coach believes in the organization, the coach believes in them. And if you have like a very like cocky coach, like the way Richard Young is, he will not pick up a team that he thinks will lose. So on that simple note, I think that the Washington Justice will be 15th place. There is a big upside on this team. I think they will have like a Boston Uprising season last year. People will sleep on them. Overwatch League teams will sleep on them, and that's actually a benefit for them because let's say you have the London Spitfire and Washington Justice on the same team the same week. You have to play both of them. Who are you gonna focus on, the Washington Justice or the London Spitfire? If you think the Washington Justice is easy one, you're really not going to focus on them. You're going to focus your time until on the Spitfire just because they are the harder team. So I think that is a benefit for them. The downside of this team is that everything I said it could be wrong, and they could be all shit players. They could all be very bad. There's no team synergy. They never get to speak in English or Korean because half the team is mixed. And Janice is just so aggressive that nobody knows how to play with him. It could be that type of thing. But I really thought that would be the case. And I have them at 15th place. 17th place, we have the Shanghai Dragons. In 16, we have the Boston Uprising. And in 15, we have the Washington Justice. For the most part, I can see these teams going up and down between 20th and 15th, except for maybe Washington Justice. I probably do see them a little higher. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the team. Be sure to enter the giveaway. Leave a comment if you want to win a jersey of your choice. But yeah, leave your comments down below. If you agree, disagree. Where do you think the Washington Justice will land? But yeah, all right, guys. I'll see you next week, probably.